How are you?
Good to go.
Good. Good to see you.
You as well. Nice seeing you again.
You too. It's been a little while since we had you on the show, right?
I was going to say, I was trying to remember if it was 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Where it was.
Yeah, it was pretty early on, I think, in the podcast days, I guess we could say, in the history there, right? So it's good to have you back on the show here. Justin is co-founder at ProShip. He's the ProShip guy, definitely. See him at all the shows everywhere. So why don't you tell us kind of a little bit about, it's been a while since you've been on the show, as we said. Why don't you tell us a little bit about ProShip, kind of like an overview, what it is that you guys do?
So ProShip, we're a multi-carrier shipping software. And what that means is that after everything goes through your enterprise software stack, you get it down into your WMS, you actually need to select the appropriate carrier. Maybe you've got something complicated. You've got printer applicators. Maybe you've got a lot of different carriers you want to use. Maybe you're a 3PL and you have to follow rules that your customers put forward. Our shipping software allows you to do that. And whether it's at the enterprise level with our ProShip products or at the SMB level with our WorldLink product, really what we're trying to do is make it so that you can start working with all of our carriers, all of that logic that we have, and be able to grow from, let's say, a couple hundred to several hundred packages a day, all the way up to 1 million or more packages per day, going through the product suite.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's such a big help to be able to have it, because you mentioned you have the hundreds of carriers, right, that you're connected with and able to work with. I mean, I guess tell us for maybe for understanding for people, if you weren't to use like a system like yours to be able to do that, I mean, what would it take to be able to just internally try and make those relationships with 100 different carriers and be able to kind of figure that out?
Yeah, it is a lot of work. It's one of those things that luckily we've got a lot of people from the carrier industry that work with us, right? Yeah. So it's a lot easier to make those. And of course, we've been around for more than 20 years, and so we've got a great reputation working with our carrier partners. And so as we saw during the growth of carriers during the pandemic, there was a lot of carriers who wanted to come and work for us. And that whole carrier diversification thing really had a great impact on everybody who ships, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that we try to do a very good job of ensuring that you don't have to remember who's the newest shipper, who's somebody who works in New York, who's somebody that works in California. Do I need same day or do I need expedited next day? How can I go ahead and is that really going to be cheaper than using one of the major carriers if I'm going to use their a small regional carrier? Having a product like ours not only keeps those relationships available and makes sure that we have the latest that they have, but it also ensures that you don't have to judge between the carriers. You let the software do that for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's such a great thing to be able to have systems to leverage and utilize those tools that make those processes so much easier, right? Because I mean, it's, why would you go and just try and reinvent the wheel internally, basically, right? I mean, it makes so much sense. So talk to us a little bit kind of now as we're here at Manifest in the somewhat beginning of 2024, right? We see a lot of different things. We're going to get you a little closer here to the mic.
Sorry.
All right. As we're here in 2024 and we're looking at the parcel market and just the carrier market overall, I mean, how are things kind of looking? What's your perspective on the market? I mean, obviously we see a lot of regionalized players too, and a lot of different diversification going on. So kind of give us your perspective.
I think since 2000, the single word to describe the entire parcel market is volatility.
Yeah.
Unlike the decades before that, where in North America especially, you knew who was here, right? There wasn't many surprises. Even when you had LaserShip and OnTrack and GSO, and everybody knew who they were.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you've got so many carriers, and so many of them are growing. We've started to see some consolidations. Volatility really is the right word. And so I think what we've been trying to work with our customers is rationalization rather than diversification. Okay. Because if you're just diversifying, well, you just stick 4 more carriers in there, right? I'm done. I'm good to go.
I'm diversified now.
Yeah, exactly. Until that carrier goes out of business or their rates skyrocket because of unforeseen reasons, right? So are you truly finding a way to measure your needs versus what those carriers can actually produce? I'm not recommending anybody go back to 2 or 3 carriers, right?
Yeah.
But what I am saying is for the average of 5 or 6 carriers that we're seeing nowadays, do you have all of them in California? That's not proper rationalization.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So you really want to ensure that you're looking at, we came up with 8 different vectors that you could look at, and well, you can swap those vectors out to really look at them yourselves. If something like cost doesn't matter to you because you're shipping, diamonds, right?
Yeah.
You may replace that with a different vector. On the other hand, coverage may be a very important thing for you, and if you can combine 2 or 3 regionals to cover your primary areas, so that your national carrier, if they have a problem, you always have a backup. This is what we're talking about with rationalization. Okay?
Interesting. Yeah. I think that's such an interesting thing because it is like you said, like you just add a couple carriers and like, I'm diversified now, right? But it does need to make sense. You need to look at like the type of product that you're shipping. Once you're like the diamonds, obviously you have a huge margin there on diamonds. You got some money to play with, right?
Yeah. You're shipping everything express, no problem, right? but if you're like the rest of us who are shipping, commodity goods, and you have to compete on price, and we always know customers want faster and freer, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So how do you do that? Well, you do that by comparing. Can you do that just with the nationals, or do you throw in certain regionals to really help you out there?
Yeah.
That's where that rationalization comes into play.
Interesting. And I'm curious, you mentioned there kind of the customer always wants faster and freer. And I'm curious on the faster aspect. I mean, what are you seeing, I guess, in the kind of the network that you have, the companies that you have your solution in place? I mean, where are they really trending towards on like a shipping time frame? Are we looking like 2-day, 3-day? What's really kind of moving out there?
We're seeing a lot more 2-day being the sweet spot with delighting the customers with next day, right? And that's usually because you've placed your warehouses, 3 or so or more inventory origins strategically across the U.S., right? So, if you've got a warehouse in Indiana, you can delight all the people in Milwaukee, Chicago, all the way over to parts of Ohio with next day ground, right? And of course, if you position something near the coast, you've got a huge swath of those that you're going to delight. But still, you're satisfying people with 2-day shipments, and as long as they hit a certain floor. And that's the one thing we are seeing a lot more of is people saying, free shipping with a $50 card or with a $75 card.
Right, yeah.
Right? So as long as there's a way for the customer to earn that, we're seeing a lot more uptake or a lot more return with the customers. But I do have to admit, that's not an area where we spend a lot of time. We don't spend a whole lot of time in the cart. We spend a lot of time in the warehouse. We spend a lot of time in that store, making sure that all your inventory sources can execute appropriately, given the carriers at that location.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's sort of interesting to kind of see just how that kind of almost ping pongs back and forth, I guess, right? We were so focused on like, fast, like same day delivery and things like that. And I think like I'm seeing the same, that it's kind of that 2-day sweet spot a little bit that people are finding and that carriers are able to kind of handle to and things like that.
The reality is we're seeing that even Amazon is having trouble doing next day everywhere. Right?
Yes, yeah.
And so it's kind of, since they're driving the expectation, the delighting expectation for the customer, and they've realized that, well, it's a big country, right?
Yeah, it's sizable, definitely.
It's kind of hard to hit all that, but that's really, I think that's the nice thing is that we are settling and people are understanding that free shipping does cost somebody. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
So they're willing to do the minimum cart purchases or sign up for a loyalty program or something like that in order to get more freer shipping. And I think faster really just has to do with well-placed inventory sources or a great line haul solution.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's something we saw a lot during the pandemic. That's coming down a little bit, especially as warehouse costs are starting to drop.
Yeah, a little bit.
Right. So there's more opportunity for people to place their inventory somewhere else.
Yeah, and have more of a strategic positioning, I guess, in that sense, right?
Exactly.
And take advantage of that closeness overall, right? So very interesting stuff. And you guys are here at Manifest, and you just had a recent announcement, right? You have a partnership with Open Sky Group. So tell us a little bit about that, and what does that mean?
So, as ProShip sits here, and let's face it, we're the experts in execution and advising. When it comes to advising in the cart on costs, executing in the inventory location. Again, store, warehouse, 3PL, wherever that case may be. But one of the things we count on is the fact that there's going to be an enterprise software stack there.
Yeah.
Okay. That you've picked a WMS, maybe you've gone with a Blue Yonder or something like that. We don't do much advising on that. We don't do much consulting. And the wonderful thing about Open Sky is that, well, as they've had decades in this space as well, they do that consulting. What is the right size solution for you? What should you be looking at? They can provide that.
Yeah.
They can help you, just like I can help you talk about carrier rationalization and start
yes.
to help you get those metrics. They can help you with the metrics you want to use to decide on a WMS and other parts of your enterprise software stack. But then probably most importantly, what probably most people know them for is they're great at implementation. Okay?
Yeah.
So you've made your choice. They've got the engineers who are trained. And we've been working with their engineers for about 7-8 years now.
Yeah.
And so when that WMS needs to be connected to a shipping software, it's a very smooth thing because they talk ProShip, they talk they talk Blue Yonder, they talk all these other languages, so to speak, and it makes it very easier for a customer who's started with that consulting through the selection process into the implementation process, have a very smooth go live. Right?
Yeah.
Because we already know we've gone to battle and we've dealt with the 11th hour problems in the past, so we don't have to deal with them for you.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's such an important thing that that implementation word, sometimes can give you flashbacks to like war flashbacks almost, right? Because certainly I think everybody's experienced one that's not gone as great, especially as you mentioned the 11th hour there. But I think being able to focus on that and have somebody help you to make those very smooth and know what they're doing, I think is such an important thing, especially as you look at not necessarily like the big guys out there, but like small to medium-sized businesses too. It's so important to be able to have that smooth implementation and have a better experience, right?
Well, the one thing I always say when it comes to implementing an enterprise software stack is there's best practice, right?
Yeah.
But if we all did best practice, there'd be one company left in the U.S., right? The one who could implement best practice the most efficiently.
Yeah.
So we all have differences. Nobody's going to, at least nobody in our market space, is going to take a vanilla out-of-the-box WMS and leave it that way.
Yeah.
You need customizations. You've got legacy processes you still want to do. You've got unique processes that are part of your unique selling advantage to your customers. You need somebody who's got experience doing that, and then experience, working with us as well, so that you can have the best implementation of lower rates, more carriers, faster execution, whether you're using automation, whether you're old school batch shipping, whatever the case may be.
Right.
We need to look at this entire animal, not just one portion of it.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's such a great point. I mean, you have to look at the whole thing, everything that's going on, especially as we see just so many different technologies too. I mean, we're surrounded by them here just alone, right? And you're seeing so many more come in. You need to be able to make sure everything can be that cohesive unit kind of and all work together and integrate the way it's supposed to. So very interesting stuff, and obviously congratulations on the partnership with Open Sky Group. Sounds like a very, very fruitful and smart move on your part. So I really appreciate you coming by and talking all things ProShip and carrier rationalization. We'll take that away there. So if people want to learn more about ProShip, what's the best way to do that?
ProShipInc.com. That's ProShipInc.com. That's the greatest place to look for all of our stuff. We've got a great blog there that we post multiple times a week. You can also find us on LinkedIn, where we repost most of the stuff there as well. But that's the best place to find us if you're not going to come here at the show, or if you're going to meet us at Modex in a month.
Yes, a month from now, Modex. We'll see you there, definitely.
Exactly.
All right.
Kevin, thanks for having us on.
Justin, thanks so much for coming back on the show, and we have to get you back on sooner next time.
Yes, I hope so.
Definitely. All right, thank you, sir.